You know who always plays well against Calgary? The kid from Calgary. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Pregame Show from the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. Big E and Rudo coming to you live as the Avs are taking on the Flames. Their last game of this homestand, coming off of a loss. All the usual platitudes we have, don't lose 2 in a row. You know, that good stuff, sure. But before we jump into the game, there's a couple of other news bits for the Avs and around the league. Cale Makar signing his ELC today. Will report to the Colorado Eagles for an ATO for the rest of this season. I've probably rained on people's parades enough today with Cale Makar. And look, don't get me wrong. The season Makar had is great. It's awesome to see him earn that ELC. It's all fun. But realistically, the path to the NHL for a kid like this is still long.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, good on him. That means he had it was the right choice, right? It was a little stale at UMass for him the last few seasons. Obviously, his brother had gone there, so he had a nice relationship with Coach Carvel there, which happens to be my centerman in college back then. So,
how many centermen have you had?
No, but that was youth hockey. That was college hockey. I know. I actually saw him the other day at BU's game. Anyway, I think he needed a fresh opportunity somewhere else. Obviously, Ben Barr, the coach in Maine, was the assistant coach at UMass all those years, the one that recruited with Carvel there, Cale to UMass, and obviously, same thing for Taylor. Was seeking a new opportunity. Give him credit. You know what I mean? He had a good season. He had a better role than he had at UMass. He was able to produce. Maine had a wonderful season. Now the work begins, right? You know, at the end of the day, he's on an ATO, right? Just joined the Eagles, and a lot of people in the American League join the Eagles when their seasons are over, whether they're kind of CHL kids or college kids or whatever it is. There's a little bit of a log jam down there. Eagles are doing well. They're going to have a nice playoff run. And, you know, even ice time there will be tough for some of those guys. But it's more about the experience. It's more about learning and how to be a pro and, you know, really leaving the college experience behind you and watching those guys, watching the Magnas of the world, the veteran guys that have been there, how to, you know.
How to be a pro.
How to be a pro. And it's I did it. I lived it. Broke my hand right away. I didn't even play a game, but we were like 2 months all the way down to the finals. So it was a fun experience. It gives you a little bit of a leg up once you go to training camp next year, which is when his entry-level contract starts, right? You know, the 1-year deal. The work is starting. You know, it just starts now. Do I think he's going to play in the NHL? I don't know. Do I think he's not going to play in the NHL? I don't know. I think time will tell how he reacts and how he adapts to pro hockey. You know, it's a big step from college hockey. The game is so much faster. So we'll see how he adapts. We'll see what type of summer he has. And, you know, we'll see him in training camp and go from there. I mean, with realistic expectations of probably him being in, you know, Loveland next year and go from there and make your way up. And now the first step is to be a call-up. And then next step is to, you know, make a career in the NHL, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. Good on him. Great family. Great hockey bloodlines, great family, so perfect.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's like the NFL, right? If you're an AHL player, you don't get a portion of your jersey sales.
No.
That's unfortunate.
No.
I think they should change that, only because I want Cale Makar to wear an Eagles jersey with the number 8 on it.
Yeah.
And it would instantly become the best-selling Eagles jersey of all time. So,
but it's good. Awesome.
We'll see.
Good on the family. It's great. We'll see.
Realistically, expect no impact with the Avalanche for Cale Makar or for Cale Makar.
No.
At least this season. And in the future, we'll see where it goes. Honestly, the way the Eagles are built, he might even have a tough time cracking that lineup.
That's what I was saying. There's going to be a big of a log jam down there. So we'll see.
Beyond that, around the NHL, NHL just extended their contract with Rogers to broadcast hockey in Canada for the next 12 years, a nearly $8 billion deal. After a long, I don't want to say they weren't making money, but certainly a long downturn in the salary cap for the NHL. Is the NHL the most popular it's ever been right now?
Four Nations sure helped, right? So it did.
You're not wrong.
I mean, listen, it's gone a long ways. Is there a long ways to go? Absolutely. Do people want to criticize the NHL? Sure. But, I'm one of those guys that's been in it since, like, I can remember being an adult or even a young kid. And boy, oh boy, have they done remarkable progress since I was a little kid. And, it is. Like, it really is. It's I was a little kid and only a couple years ago, so It's crazy how
just
time
a few
flies.
years ago.
But, I think the NHL's done a good job. Are they perfect? No. But have they done, like, that deal you just explained? Like, yeah, those are great deals. Those are things we didn't have back then. So, obviously, they're evolving with time, and I think they're gaining more and more popularity, more and more viewerships, and I think the social media platforms like ours and all that kind of stuff, it's only helps, the popularity of the league. And again, we're biased, but for me, there's no better sport than the National Hockey League and the NHL. So
preaching to the choir on that front.
We're biased, but
it's good to see maybe some of the numbers of money start to reflect that a little bit more than the NHL has always lagged behind the other big four, and that's still the case. Yeah. But it does feel like there is
a little bit better,
a real competition now. NHL is pushing on that front. Anyway, I wanted to get into tonight's game too. Let's face it, Calgary is on the brink. Realistically, if you're Calgary's locker room, you're telling yourself you have to win out to have a chance at the playoffs.
They're hanging.
Yeah, barely. So I don't know. I don't know what you expect. I expect Calgary to play like psychos a little bit tonight.
I mean, you would think. I mean, the one thing that hurts the Flames the last few weeks is the run the St. Louis Blues have been on.
True.
I mean, that just,
the Avs losing them did not help Calgary at all.
Did not help the Flames, because we had actually our Windsor crew here yesterday. These guys were awesome. That was so fun, and one of them was a big Flames fan because of here's the picture. Great crew. They have the game tonight, and that's the first thing they said. They're like, "Oh my God, the Avalanche did not hurt. Did not help my Flames tonight." So. Sure enough, shout out to those guys. Great to have them yesterday watching college hockey here at the DNVR bar. It was fun. It was awesome. But, they're hanging by a thread. We had GM Craig Conroy last game. They were here, right, on the show. He wanted to give this group a chance because they were in the mix. And no, I think they fell out of the mix. I think it's going to take a big miracle for them to get in there. I think it would be a disastrous turn of event for, let's say, St. Louis or, and you got to remember Vancouver's in the same boat as them too. And,
Vancouver arguably in a worse spot, to be honest.
I mean, they took a bigger dive. You're right. I mean, you don't know. I mean, those guys are, they still have some good players. Kadri, Huberdeau, I believe Ladar's in net tonight. I mean, you never know. You would think that they're going to give it all they got. You don't get anything free in this league. But you're right. If they lose tonight, that makes it a very tough go for them to make any shot at keeping this thing alive.
Close to impossible if they lose tonight. Not mathematically, but just in reality there.
You have to live in reality, right? So
on the Avs side, the Avs continue the pretty heavy rotation of players in their lineup as of late. EJ slots back in for Middleton. It sounds like Jimmy Vesey is slotting back in for Miles Wood. And then you have Wedgwood in net again as the goalie rotation continues. When you look at a game like this, and you're the Avalanche, obviously, look, they're professional athletes. It's not hard for them to get up for their games, but you don't want to lose 2 in a row. Sure, I'm sure that's a driving factor, but every day it gets closer and closer to the Avs being locked into this third CD. So what extra motivations can you find as a player for games like this one?
Because you can find lines in every game, or storylines in every game. Maybe that's the better word. And, you got I don't care, you're playing a different opponent, and it's going to be a hungry opponent, and you lost last game. You don't want to lose 2 in a row. So you got to challenge yourself to keep it fresh. And I think this coaching staff does a good job about that stuff. So I think you just said it's fresh bodies in there. A little surprised that Wedgwood's in there. I love Wedgie. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a back-to-back coming up in a couple of days. So maybe there's some, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe they've already had pegged those games here coming up. But Wedgie's games and then obviously Blackwood's games and so on. Obviously, nobody got called up, so there's no issues. And Mackenzie's playing really good, and it's not an issue. So whatever. It is what it is. But I think for the Avalanches, you got to keep it fresh. You got to challenge yourself. You really got to go out there and correct a few things that went wrong the day before, right? You know, there's a reason you lost the game, for example. Yep. And I think if you can just address those things, which they did this morning, Coach Bednar talked about it, and somewhere, somehow, I do believe the Avalanche will bounce back from, not that they played a terrible game, but at the end of the day, they lost. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you get back on track tonight. And I think it's very important for the Avalanche to feel good about their game. I don't think they felt good about their game last game. If you go back to the Toronto game, I think they felt good about their game, but they lost.
I think you felt okay about the first two periods.
That's what I mean. But I mean, overall, it's not like they felt like, oh, we should have won that game. You know what I mean? So, like Toronto, they should have won the game. They felt they should have won the game, and then they went on to win another 4, 5, 6 games in a row, right? So now this one was a little bit different. We haven't really seen that, in that 12, 13 game span. So let's see how they react to it. And I think it's important because those are all playoff type atmosphere games. And like you just said, I think the Flames are going to throw everything at them but the kitchen sink.
If you are scoreboard watching, Minnesota currently down 1-0 to New Jersey. Obviously half of that game left, so long way to go there. But anytime anyone else in the Central drops a game, the pressure gets alleviated even more for the Avalanche at this point in the year. Dallas also does play later tonight, but that game won't start till maybe the second intermission of the Avs game. For Colorado, let's see what they got to do. I kind of mentioned finding storylines, finding ways to get you amped up. What are your 3 keys for Calgary to lose, for the Avs to take down Calgary?
Whatever you want to call that. Either way, either or, it's all good. For me, discipline's big. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying the referee. I mean,
you're right. I said it in my review too.
You said in review.
3 of those penalties are fully the Avs' own fault.
Yeah. No, we didn't like, obviously, the non-calls, and with all the reasons, we're not going back there. But I do feel you at the end of a game, you got to be careful with your stick. I'm not bagging on Sam, but those are tough penalties sometimes, especially in playoffs. If you're chasing a game and now you got to spend 2 minutes on the PK instead of, obviously take a momentum of a game. So you got to have a little bit better discipline if you're the Avalanche when it comes down to, those types of things. You got to initiate, you got to control your play, control your emotions, but you want to get on the plus side of things, meaning you want more power plays than you get penalty kills. Yep. If you do that, if you control the game, usually you will get that. Key number 2 is every play matters. Go back to Marty's play, for example. Not here to bag on Marty, but every shift, every touch, every second, every decisions are key tonight, because you want to get back in that mentality that you don't want to make those mistakes that you don't need to make. If the other team forced you to cough up a puck and all that kind of stuff, all good. I always go back to that stupid expression, silver platter. You don't want to give anything for free to the other team. You don't need to give everything on a silver platter and say, hey, you go, sir, take it. So very important for the Avalanche that they get back with that mentality, because that was the turning point in last game's loss. And then number 3, the hunger to win. We just talked about it. You don't lose 2 in a row. It's a mindset. Yep. You got to drive the energy. You got to create the energy if it's not there. The crowd should give you some energy. Obviously, the Avalanche have been so good lately at home. They've lost, 1 game since mid-January at home, so whatever it is.
12-1 in their last 13 or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So just keep going, drive the energy, drive the crowd with you, and you should be all set. But another fun test for the Avalanche tonight, another fun playoff-type game, and like you said, we'll see what the Calgary Flames, how going to react to, to what the Avalanche are throwing at them, and we'll go from there.
I love your second big key there too, because I think to expand on that, know the situation, understand the state of the game.
There you go.
If you're up 4-0 and you're being a little bit of casual through the neutral zone, okay, whatever. That's dumb, but I'm not going to be mad about it. If you're in a 1-1 game in the third period, no, you cannot be doing that.
I think Coach talked about it at the end of last game.
Yeah,
Remember,
he did.
He did say, he said, the expression he used was clock/score. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you got to know what you're in. And for me, this one is just get that play out of your bag. It's not a good play.
Just stop doing it.
And he's so fast.
Yep.
Like I said, you do the Crosby, go around, use your arm. You guy's standing still. You're gonna go around them because you have skill and you have feet. And you're so good, so powerful. So that little dipsy doodle doesn't need to be there. It's a ooh-ha play. I call that a ooh-ha. The crowd goes ooh-ha, but it really doesn't do anything.
It goes ooh-ah, oh no.
Oh no. That's, most times ooh-ha ends up in oh no. And then it's a no-no. You know what I mean? Like Tiff knows. And she has to tag it as a no-no. So we don't want that. But we still love Marty. That's not what we're saying. Marty's going to be awesome. He's been awesome.
Yep.
One of my favorite plays. Marty Potty.
No problems with Marty, but that play.
No,
stop doing it.
Those plays,
just stop doing that.
No, but it's probably what's hurt him in Carolina with Rod Brindamore. And,
for sure.
And where the people say, "Oh, he can't play in playoffs." Again, we'll see. He's on a different team. I do believe he will perform in the playoff. Not worried about him, but that play needs to get out, especially for playoff hockey.
You talk about Calgary's energy in this game, E. And, don't get me wrong. I want the Avs to win. I want them to show they're better than a team like this.
Yeah.
Number one objective tonight might be no injuries, if I'm honest. You expect Calgary to bring some pretty heavy physicality to play that style of game, right?
They got that big dude there. What was it, 46? I forget how to say his name there. The Kaplan. The big dude. Whatever.
Let me go look up the pronunciation guide because I'll get it wrong.
It's terrible. Obviously, the Lamborghini does. I mean, he plays with bite. I mean, he's a junkyard dog. They got a few guys like that. Coleman plays hard to get in on the forecheck. And, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think the more important thing is to play good and then also feel good about where you're at with injuries. And, obviously, EJ's back tonight, which is good. It's awesome. But, yeah, at this time of the season, it's very important that you don't put yourself in a position to get hurt, first of all. We knock on wood every pregame. There you go. Did it again. So we're good. We're not jinxing anything. But, yeah. I mean, there's some physicality on the other side. And there's some guys on the Avalanche that can play physical as well.
Yeah.
And get going. That third, fourth line's got some bite to them now, the Avalanche side of things. And you want to make sure you match that intensity. You match that bite. And sometimes if you have to initiate, then you initiate. But you play hard between the whistles. Again, the key number one, discipline, same thing. You want to make sure you're playing hard between the whistles and not.
All right, I don't really know how to read pronunciation guides, but I think it's Klapka.
Klapka. I remember I was like Klaplin, whatever. The big dude. He's massive, by the way. He is massive.
Yeah, he's 6'8".
I mean, this morning
crazy.
I was by the
It's
Zamboni.
ridiculous.
He's right there at the glass, and I was like, man, oh man, that's a big man. That's a big man. I mean, wow. I was like, holy crap. And then you got the Lamborghini right next to him.
I just don't I never trust the Czech names because they're always
so tough.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't want to try earlier. I knew
someone's
going
to tell me it's actually Klapcha, and I'll be like, okay,
sure.
yeah, that makes sense. No,
Nakis, Natchez, Nikas, whatever. Doesn't stop.
Anyway, yeah, I do think it's important for the Avs to be smart about the way they play against
Yes.
a team like Calgary tonight. I'm not saying don't amp it up. I'm not saying don't mix it up with them, but don't get into a slugfest with this team. You don't need to take the risks that Calgary needs to take on a night like tonight.
Play hard between the whistles.
Yep, exactly right. So, is what it is there. We did talk to Jared Bednar before the game at Morning Skate today. He didn't have a ton to say, but let's hear what Bedsy thought about this one.
Go ahead, questions for Jared.
Coach, is it 6:30 start time, a little bit earlier morning skate? Does that mess your guys' routine up at all?
No.
What are you looking for tonight after not getting the result a couple nights ago? Obviously, I'm sure you're looking for the result. Is there anything you want to see them process-wise do differently?
I just want to make sure we stay disciplined with our game. We've been playing hard, we've been playing well. There's a couple things we talked about this morning, and part of that is the discipline to stick with our game and make sure that we don't get frustrated. I don't think the penalties the other night were, frustration based, but I do think when you're trying to get back in a hockey game, you're down 1 or you're 1-1, you're down 2-1, and then you take 3 straight penalties in the third period. I felt like all those could have been prevented. Just careless on a couple. One was undisciplined. One we let a guy get inside of us in the D zone, and the importance of playing every play like it's the most important play of the game, especially in tight games like that, and being willing to stick with our game longer than the opposition in order to secure the 2 points. So it's basically what I'm looking for again here tonight. Like we've been pretty disciplined in this stretch, and I want it to continue and even build for the playoff time.
It's been 2 weeks now almost with Charlie and Brock and all the new guys coming in. Are they settled in? What's the sign that they've settled in?
Yeah, I think they have. Like I think those guys got comfortable quickly. Okay, especially Charlie. I think role very similar in a role that he can excel in, and then I think like Brock, it's his first time ever playing for a different organization, and I've kind of moved his line mates around a little bit here and there, but he's been solid on the defensive side of it. We've seen flashes of what he can do on the offensive side of things, but to me, you can tell he's more comfortable now, and we're starting to see a little bit more of his game, and yeah, it's just now I think it's just kind of building on the chemistry that they have with their different line mates and continue to do what they've been doing.
How much more, I guess, experimenting is there left in these last 8 games, or is it more just about what you said, building on that?
Yeah, not a lot. I think we've seen a bunch of different combinations that we can go with here, and so it's just now for me about making sure that we get the production out of our top 6 that we want, that they're dangerous enough. Like some nights they're going to go in, some nights they aren't, but I want, both those lines, making sure that we're really dangerous. If I don't like something, I'll just flip it around a little bit.
Good. Thank
Joel,
you.
Kibrat and EJ.
EJ's in, Kivi's going to be out again tonight.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go. Pretty businesslike from the Avs. So you expect them to take a night like tonight seriously. And it is important in other ways too, right? You win this game, you win your homestand. You lose tonight, you end up 500 on the homestand. Yeah. Not who you want to be at home, for sure.
And it's a great point, because remember I said earlier, you got to find little fine line, like little storylines, and that's exactly for sure what was brought up today.
Yep.
Pretend that this is a game clinching scenario,
yep,
and we have to win the series, win the segment, go win the game at no matter what. You go win the game. So
this is game 6, and if we lose, we're going back to their building for game 7 or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
You got to challenge yourself. That's a great point by you. I totally forgot about that one. 2-1 on the homestand. Yeah.
All right. We don't have a ton of time left here, E. So let's do crystal ball first, then we'll see if we have time for my other segment.
Yeah.
What you got? Name, number?
Yeah. This is my guy today. Just because he's a former BU Terrier, he's excited about his Terriers reaching the Final Four. Forget about DU for a second, people. Forget about DU for a second, Tiff. Relax. No. We're going to go with former Terriers, Charlie Coyle. It's been great. He's been asked to do a different type of role here. You just heard Bednar talk about him. Very satisfied with the way he plays the game, what he brings to the lineup. I do believe he breaks through tonight. I'm hoping for 2 because that's my bet, but I'll take 1. And I do believe the Avalanche come out swinging like boxers in or Rocky Balboa in Rocky 3 against Ivan Drago. No, I'm kidding. I do believe the Avalanche come out swinging, and they win. Wedgie, I believe, is going to be good. I think 5-1 Avalanche. Charles in charge, Coyle with a goal.
All right.
For 2.
Hey, look, I'm down for Coyle to finally get his first for the Avs, or 2. If you get 1, you can get 2. Why not? I am going to go a little bit different than that.
Like it.
And I'm going with the guy who's actually scored goals as the new guy in Colorado. The big man Brock, or BCB as we call him around here.
BCB.
Big chicken Brock. Definitely a chicken, not some other word for chicken. I'm going with Brock to put one in the back of the net again tonight, just because I want to see that second line continue to produce consistently. It's a huge, huge key for the Avs heading into the playoffs that they have production up and down the lineup, particularly from both portions of their top 6. So I do want to see that. I want to be clear, my bets are a little bit of a meme today, but I'm going to say 9-0. Avs win 9-0 today. Complete blowout. Complete blowout on that front. We can get into my pregame picks with Bet365. Of course, it's never ordinary over there, and these bets certainly aren't ordinary. Look, you're not going to hit all three of these unless it's the perfect 9-0, but you cover all your bases. I took 3 different hat tricks. You got the All Hail Cale hat trick, plus 15,000. You got the Halifax Homie Shakespeare hat trick, plus 15,000. You got the Big C Brock, plus 15,000 hat trick. If you hit any one of those, you make a ton of money. So why not splash a little bit of cash on each of them, increase your odds a little bit. If one of them hits, yeah, you're good. You're paying the big bucks on that front. So get in with Bet365. You can do crazy bets like that if you want to have a little bit of fun, or you can do bets that are more likely to hit too. When you do gamble with them, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. The last thing I wanted to get into is total shots for the Avs, because yes, the Avs have been winning a lot. They've been dominating games a lot, but I do think there is a little bit of a conversation, and I'm actually going through the numbers here just to confirm it, but the Avs are winning a lot without hitting that 30 total shots. I'm up to game last 4 games. The Avs, all right, they reached they reached over 30 against Montreal, but that was an overtime game. So when they're winning in regulation, the shot totals are low. Now, some of that is the Avs are playing with a lead and they let off the gas a little bit late in games. Are you comfortable with that from the Avs, or do you think there is maybe a little bit more to give from Colorado when it comes to really taking over and dominating games?
My take is I want them to hit the net more.
I think that's a good shot.
I
for
feel
sure.
that lately they've missed the net a lot. Even take Cale for last game, for example.
Yep.
I think he had a gazillion shot attempts, but I mean, only a few.
10
hit
shot
the net.
attempts, 3 on net.
Yeah, so again, give credit to the other teams. I get that. I'm not stupid. I know there's 2 teams out there. But I do believe that when they're in the clear, I mean, not just Cale, anyone, Parker Kelly or Logan or anyone, like, or Ross, you know, like, they try to pick corners, and sometimes it's like, you know my rule, shoot 5-hole. If you miss, it's going to go in the corner, and you're going to look like a genius. But if you shoot for the corner and you miss, I got no problem if you pick it. It's a great shot, great, awesome. But if you miss it, it's a tough play. Like, it's a tough play. It's an easy breakout for your team. It's it's an opportunity lost that, you know, you didn't create chaos. You didn't put it in the net. So never on, never in. That's that rule. So I think it's important that you have to have that shot mentality. That's one, but you have to make sure you hit the net and you get things through.
Yeah, as Chad has mentioned, it is Vladar in net for Calgary, not Wolf. So you can't get all hyped about the goalie today.
I knew that this morning. I saw Vladar in the net, though. I thought I said at the start of the show.
No, you did, but you're usually.
I love Wolfie.
Yeah,
I do.
exactly.
It's a great pick, great story. I know I was disappointed. I was like, I did watch him this morning at practice, and I was like, waving. So. I'm kidding.
Were you with them when they got Wolfie?
We drafted Wolfie in the last pick of. What round?
Mr. Irrelevant.
2019 maybe.
That sounds right.
Wolfie.
I'd have to check though.
Yeah, it was like second to last pick of the draft or last pick or whatever, 7th rounder. It was awesome. Like I love stories like that. I do.
Always a good time.
But I saw him when he was like 15. He was U15 or U16 for LA Junior Kings. I saw him in Vegas, and I was like, wow, that kid's good. Like, I like him. So I've always like kind of followed him. So it's kind of nice.
Easy life. Must be good when you're just right about guys, huh?
No. I didn't say he was going to play. I'm saying I kind of, then I saw I knew of him,
I'm just messing.
Max was like, he liked him. He was following him. And that's how I kind of knew about
2019.
him. So. 19, that was close, right?
Eric knows when he worked for teams, it turns out.
Yeah.
Probably good.
But that's amateur side, so that's not my deal or my forte.
It's true. You were pro side.
Yep.
But anyway, look, it's the crunch time of the season, and for some teams it matters a lot. The reality is for the Avs, this crunch time probably isn't super meaningful. Maybe that's why you see some of the rotation of players that we've seen. Maybe that's why you've seen some of the. I actually think the Avs have done a pretty good job of keeping their energy up over this stretch, but there's a little bit less pressure on the Avs right now, and I think that makes their lives a little bit easier at the moment.
Yep.
But it is important to keep that back burner hot so you're ready to go when you need to be.
Yeah, because I think they know what they are now. I think the coaches know what they are now.
Yeah.
I think that the trials are over, kind of, so to speak. But now it's about stringing things together, which they have, and now it's about let's get down to business here coming up, and then let's just keep amping things up. And we all know you can reach a certain level, in order to get feeling really good about yourself come
For sure.
the big dance. What is it? The second week of April? No, it will be third week of April, right?
It should be this third week, or
Third
maybe
week of
right
April.
the end of second week. Either way,
Yep.
It's coming up. The game is coming up. We're going to wrap this up. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us in the Toyota Lounge. This has been the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. Catch us with the watch along up next. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
We all silly like the mayor.